I just saw the post person come by our house and stop by our mailbox and put something in it, and I think I know what it is, and so let's go grab it. Hello and welcome to the Ellen Made Book Club. Today I am super excited because I have some new books that I want to show you, and I've been very patient because there was one book that took extra long time to get here, and now it's finally here. It arrived today, and so today is the day and I get to share with you all of these books that I got. I don't tend to buy this many books all at once, and especially not new. They're not all new releases, but they're all new from the bookstore. But I needed a little bit of retail therapy this past month or so. And so I decided to, treat myself and buy some books that I had been wanting for a long time, and also some books that I just found in the bookstore that I got really excited about. I tend to buy a lot of books secondhand, and I get books from the library and all of that. But sometimes when I find books secondhand, they're like, they're good books and I'm very happy to find them, but they're not necessarily books that I'm like super excited to read right now. And these are all books that I'm really excited by, that I really do want to read. And I've read like the first page or, few pages of pretty much all of them, I think, to make sure that I like the writing style and all of that. I don't need to justify this, but I just, there's a discussion to be had about book hauls and whether they are consumerist, etc. But yeah, I really wanted these books and I bought them, and now I want to show them to you. I have divided them into 4 little piles based on like the place and occasion when I got them. So I will just start with this pile right here. Let's start with these two. I don't know. I'm very excited. Okay, let's start with this one because this is probably the ugliest cover of them all. So let's start with that one. And that is Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. I think this cover is brutal. I think it's ugly, but that kind of goes with the story. And I've loved this movie for years, and I have never read the book, and so I really want to. And this is on my list of 25 books to read in 2025, and they have it at my library, but I figured this is like a cult classic. I would think that most people are familiar with the concept of Fight Club, but it says on the back, an outrageously suspenseful apocalyptic comedy of horrors with acid clarity. I think that sums it up pretty good. Every weekend in basements and parking lots across the country, young men with good white-collar jobs and absent fathers take off their shoes and shirts and fight each other barehanded for as long as they have to. I'm really intrigued to finally read this book. The next one is another book that I have on my list of 25 books to read in 2025. But this one has a very beautiful cover and a very different vibe from Fight Club. And that is The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. I saw this in the bookstore like about a year ago, I think, and I was just mesmerized by the beautiful cover, and I just, picked it up and looked at it and put it back. And then the next time I was in the bookstore, I picked it up and looked at it and put it back. It's just been one of those books that I just look at and pick up every single time I'm in that bookstore. And I've, come to realize that this is a fantasy classic. I have never read it or heard about it before I came across this stunning artwork, and the colors and the silver and the cover definitely made me buy it. But I also think that it's going to be a very cozy story to read, and I need some of those in my collection. The description says, living in peace in her lilac wood, the unicorn didn't know the world had changed or that anything had happened to the rest of her kind. Overhearing a chance conversation, she resolves to venture out and discover the truth. The road is dangerous and the risks are great. If she fails, then unicorns will be lost forever. I'm very happy to have this one as well. And then in the same bookstore, an independent local bookstore, I found a book that matches The Last Unicorn very well. They look really nice together. And that is The Wall by Madeleine Haushofer. This is a dystopian classic. It was first published in 1963, and I should say it was translated by Sean Whiteside. And I was inspired to read this after having read and loved I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. This is about a woman who is alone. She goes outside one day and discovers that there is a wall that she can't go through, and there's no one else inside this place where she is trapped, and she has to do whatever she can to survive. And yeah, that's pretty much all I know about it. I love this edition with this cover, and it's not very long, so I figured this would be a good option for me to read for the Classic 6 challenge by Suey at Suey's Book Banter. And yeah, I'm very happy to have this in my collection as well because it's beautiful. So those are the first 3 books that I got from the independent bookstore. And then there was another occasion when I had a bit of a hard day. I had a meeting I had to go to, which was kind of difficult. And so I decided to treat myself afterwards, and I went to another bookstore in town, which is more of a chain, but I had a gift card there. So I decided to try and use that before it expires. And they also had this offer to buy 4 books and pay for 3. So I wanted to take advantage of that. And I did get 4 other books initially, or 3 of them are the same, but one of the books I had accidentally also ordered. So I exchanged that later for another book, but yeah, we'll get there. But the first book that I got from that store is the one that I'm reading at the moment, and that is Rabbit Hole by Kate Brody. I'm about halfway through so far, and I'm really enjoying myself. It's a very readable and engaging story. This is about a woman called Teddy, and 10 years ago her sister went missing, and on the 10-year anniversary her father ended his own life by going off a bridge with his car. And so Teddy finds out that her father had been kind of trying to figure out what happened to the sister, Angie. And so she ends up falling down the same rabbit hole that he had been. And so she's online and reading through Reddit threads, and she is connecting with some people and meeting people and finding things out. And yeah, we're just along for the ride. It doesn't have the best ratings on Goodreads, but I just was so intrigued by the premise, and I just kept going back to it in the bookstore. I think it was in there for 3 hours, by the way, just trying to decide which books to get. I'm not the most decisive person, and I'm not there to buy 20 books. I'm in there to buy 4, specifically 4 books. And so then I have to make a choice and pick out the best 4 books, and there's so much pressure to pick the right 4 books. And so anyways, this was the 4th book that I picked up, and because I had the other 3 picked out already, and I was just trying to find the 4th book because that was going to be for free basically. So yeah, I just wandered around that store forever. But this was the one that I couldn't sort of let go of in my head. And I was like, but it doesn't have very good ratings, and so maybe I shouldn't buy it. But this is one that I was excited to read, and so that's the book that I should get. And I did, and now I'm enjoying it, and I'm very glad I bought it. Okay, the next book I'm also very glad I bought, and this is a book that I have read already, and that is Bunny by Mona Awad. I read this earlier this year, and I loved it. I had such a good time with it. It's also about a woman. She is in a writer's program, and she's there with these other girls who just refer to each other as Bunny. They just call each other Bunny. I love you, Bunny. I miss you, Bunny. I want to be with you, Bunny. And they're very twee, and yeah, super annoying. And it's also kind of brutal. So this is a satirical horror meets Mean Girls, and yeah, it's just such a wonderful time. And I had read this in a library copy, but I wanted it for my own collection, and so I decided to get it. And because I loved Bunny so much, I decided to get another book by Mona Awad, and so I got Rouge. And I think this has a similar vibe, but this is more like the beauty industry. It says, for as long as she can remember, Belle has been obsessed with her skin and skincare videos. When her estranged mother, Noelle, mysteriously dies, Belle finds herself back in California, dealing with her mother's debts and grappling with lingering questions about her death. So this one is somewhere in between these two books, I would say. But in this one, it is her mother that has passed away. And yeah, the beauty industry and something weird going on with that. And yeah, I just heard that readers who enjoyed Bunny are likely to enjoy this one as well. I'm hoping it's not too much of the same thing, but like a similar vibe, but a different story. I would be very happy with that. And then I had another book from that bookstore that I exchanged because I had already ordered it and there was a bit of a mix-up kind of thing. So I went back and had to wander around the bookstore again to figure out which one I was going to exchange it for. But in the end, I landed on Stoneyard Devotional by Charlotte Wood. This was shortlisted for the Booker Prize in 2024, and that's not why I bought it, but it was. But I'm just very intrigued by the premise. It's about a woman who leaves Sydney to return to her hometown, and she takes refuge in a small religious community hidden away on the stark plains of rural Australia. And I have noticed that I haven't read a lot from Australian authors, and I need some books like that from my diversity book bingo. I've heard a lot of good things about Charlotte Wood as an author. I know that Simon at Savage Reads talks very highly of her, and yeah, I've been curious to try this book. And I was debating whether or not to buy this book because I have it available to me on audiobook, and I think it's available at my library as well. But sometimes, you know, I get books from the library and then I don't get to them before I have to return them. And so sometimes I just like having a book on my shelf that I can read and take my time with. And I think that this one might also be good to read while I'm listening to it. So I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad at me. Yeah. So this intrigues me in part because there is this religious community, which I always find interesting. I think that the main character is dealing with grief, or that the story somehow is dealing with grief. And then there's also some mysterious things happening, like a mouse infestation, skeletal remains of a sister who disappeared decades before, and then an unexpected and troubling visitor. So I don't know, it just has several elements, and I'm just very curious about this author and this story. So yeah, I'm very happy I picked this up as well. So then when I was in town and I went to exchange that book at the bookstore, I figured I might as well go to the independent bookstore as well and just see what they have and see if I find anything interesting. And I did. So I ended up buying a few more books there. Which one to start with? I'll just start from the top of the pile, shall I? This is a book by a Korean author that is said to be darkly comic, electrifying, and an utterly thrilling, illuminating read. And that is The Old Woman and the Knife by Gu Byung-mo. And this is translated by Chi Young Kim. Hornclaw is a 65-year-old female contract killer who is considering retirement. But while on an assassination job for the disease control company she works for, Hornclaw makes an uncharacteristic error, causing a sequence of events that brings her past well and truly into the present. Threatened with sabotage by a young male upstart and battling new desires and urges when she least expects them, Hornclaw steals her resolve, demonstrating that no matter their age, the female of the species is always more deadly than the male. I think this sounds like a lot of fun. I tend to enjoy darkly comic books, and I like that it has an older main character, and it also goes very well with my ambition to read, you know, more diversely and from more parts of the world. I don't think I've read a lot of books from Asia at all this year so far, so this would go very well with that. It could also go for some of the challenges that I'm doing, so it could go for reading a book with a weapon on the cover, with this big old knife. And I think that looks like a kitchen knife, so it could also go for the prompt to read a book with a kitchen utensil on the cover for the savage prompts. And so, yeah, I'm very happy with that. And like, just look at these colors. They just, you know, they just make me happy. And it's got such a nice big font. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to read, and I'm very happy I got it. The next one is also pretty dark, but I think it's not going to be comic. This is The Man Who Lived Underground by Richard Wright. I've never read anything by Richard Wright, but it says on the back that he is the author of Native Son and Black Boy. This is also a previously unpublished, like it's a posthumously published novel. It's published after his death. And it says, Fred Daniels, a black man, is picked up randomly by the police after a brutal murder in a Chicago neighborhood. He is taken to the local precinct and tortured until he confesses to a crime he didn't commit. Though beaten and disorientated, he escapes and takes up residence in the sewers below the city's streets. What follows is a gripping story, a thriller, and a masterpiece. Wright said, "I have never written anything in my life that stemmed more from sheer inspiration." But the novel was deemed too provocative to be published in 1940s America. Now, for the first time, this incendiary tale about race and violence is published in full in the form he intended. I think there are cases when books are published after the author's death that are kind of problematic, but it seems to me that in this case, that's what the author would have wanted, and it was just not safe maybe to publish it at the time. And so, yeah, I think it sounds like an intriguing story, and it also seems to have some important and interesting commentary about things. And yeah, I'm very intrigued to read this one as well. And also a lovely cover. Let me look at this. Yeah, I think that's gorgeous. Moving on to another gorgeous cover. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous cover. And we're also back in Asia, this time in Japan. And this is Diary of a Void by Emi Yagi. Like, how can I see this and not buy this book? The only description really is that for the sake of women everywhere, Miss Shibata is going to pull off the mother of all deceptions. That's all I need to know. And this cover, I think this has elements of sort of work life and motherhood and maybe pregnancy. And it says that it is comical and tender, absurd, bold, and joyful. And I think that sounds fantastic. And this is translated by David Boyd and Lucy North. And then the final book that I got from the independent bookstore at that time is The Queens of Sarmiento Park by Camila Sosa Villada. And I think this is another stunning cover. This is the story of a boarding house of trans sex workers who discover and raise a baby in Cordoba, Argentina, stuffed with marvels, humor, political critique, and storytelling. That sounds wonderful to me. It says it's ferocious and magical, and it also says, in beautifully rendered language, this debut novel challenges contemporary ideas of gender, sexuality, and love with the magical touch of a fairy tale. I just think it sounds amazing. This makes me think of Pedro Almodóvar and All About My Mother, I guess the English title is, Todo sobre mi madre. And it's also very short, and that was a pretty intentional decision on my part. I wanted to get books that I'm excited by and that I want to read like ASAP. And I wanted to get books that align with my challenges or like my intention to read more diversely and to, you know, this is a book that's perfect for South America and also LGBTQIA+ from my diversity book bingo. It's also a short book, and that means it's not going to be too intimidating for me to pick up because, yeah, I've noticed that the longer the book, the more intimidated I am, and I don't really know what that's coming from because I used to read long books and have no issue with that at all. And so I don't know if that's like a booktube thing that I want, you know, numbers, like I want to have many books to talk about. It's not very fun to just read one book the whole month and like that's all you have to talk about in videos. So I'm sure that plays a part in it, but it also like just where I am mentally and what I feel like I have the attention span or capacity for or whatever, it tends to be the shorter books. And so I just feel like I shouldn't be working against that. I'm just trying to go with the flow of myself a little bit more. And like, if shorter books is what I want to read, there's nothing wrong with that. And if that's what gets me excited about reading and, you know, talking about books and topics that interest me, like that's a good thing. So yeah, that's a definite plus. And yeah, I'm very happy about this one. And I can't wait to read it. I think this has another title as well in like other countries. I think it's called Bad Girls. Where is the original title? Yeah, the Spanish title is Las Malas, so Bad Girls would go well with that. And I should also say that this is translated by Kit Maude. Looking forward to this one. I've been talking for a long time, but I am very excited about all of these books, so I'm not going to apologize for that. The next book is another one that I have read and loved, and I'm so happy to have a copy that's all my own. And yeah, this was the book that I originally got from that other bookstore where I had to buy 4 books, and then I exchanged it for Stoneyard Devotional. That is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. I know there's another cover for this, but I love this one so much. And it's like nice and matte, and it's got these beautiful colors, and it's just so simple and gorgeous, and yeah, I just love it so much. And yeah, I just could not have this in my collection, so I'm very happy to finally have it. This is a dystopian novel. It's about 40 women, and we follow one of them, the youngest one. They are in a cage underground, guarded by guards, and they have no idea why they are there or how they got there, or they remember very little about life before this cage. And our main character, who I don't think we ever have a name for, is just trying to figure things out. Yeah, I just love it so much, and I'm very happy to have it. But I should say that this is from Blackwell's in the UK, which I think is a part of Waterstones, but they do international shipping, like for free. And sometimes the prices are cheaper. Like it costs me less to buy books from there than to buy them in Sweden. So that's a very great discovery, and I have Melinda at A Web of Stories to thank for that, because she mentions Blackwell's sometimes, and I had to look that up, and I just found books that I wanted. So yeah, I think thank you. We'll see. So I got I Who Have Never Known Men first, or I had ordered more books, but this was the only one that arrived. But I thought that this was one that wasn't going to arrive, but I misunderstood things, so that's why I accidentally double ordered this. Then the rest of the order arrived almost, but one of the books got delayed, and anyways. Another book that I ordered from Blackwell's is another title that I have been eyeing for forever, it feels like. Not forever, because it's not a very old book. Let me see. This was first published in 2023, so it's not a very old book at all. But I have just had it on my radar, and I've been wanting to read it very badly. So this is The Things We Do to Our Friends by Heather Darwent. This is about Claire, who never fits in, and then she arrives at Edinburgh University, and she seizes the chance to reinvent herself. And so she meets another girl called Tabitha, and she is sort of lured into this group of friends, it seems like. And yeah, it says, with friends like these, who needs enemies? I just love the sound of that. It has like lots of mentions of Donna Tartt and The Secret History. And so that doesn't really bode well for me, because I didn't really like The Secret History. But I also feel like sometimes as soon as something is like a little bit dark academia, it's like, ooh, it's like The Secret History. And it's just like, they're at a school, and it doesn't have to be just like that book just because of that. Bunny is also set in a very similar setting, and I did not get The Secret History vibes from this at all. There are definitely similarities, but I enjoyed this one so much more, and so I'm hoping that I will enjoy this one more than The Secret History as well. This could also go for some prompts on the buzzword challenges, at least. It has a snake on the cover, which is an animal. It has an apple on the cover, which is food. And it has the word things in it. And that's also a prompt for the title challenge. 3 books left to go, and they're all from Blackwell's. And the first one is a very slim title that I have been wanting to read for a video project that I want to do. And this is A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen L. Peck. And again, can we just like appreciate the size of this text? You can almost read it from this distance. Yeah, the text is huge, and so that is something that I love. And it's also not a very long book. But the premise sounds very intriguing to me. It says that it's a haunting existential novella about a journey through the afterlife of a world where everything everyone believed in turns out to be wrong. So it's about a faithful Mormon called Sören Johansson, which is a very Swedish sounding name, Soren, but in Swedish it would be Sören. Anyways, he has always believed he will be reunited with his loved ones in an eternal hereafter, and then he dies. And he wakes up and finds himself cast by a god he has never heard of into a hell whose dimensions he can barely grasp, a vast library he can only escape from by finding the book that contains the story of his life. What? I think this sounds very fascinating and very intriguing, and it's short and the text is big, and so this was just made for me. And yeah, I'm very intrigued to get to this. Okay. Woo! And then I have another book with huge text in it. I just appreciate that so much. What I don't appreciate is when people cut into boxes to open them. They cut with a knife and then the knife goes through the thing in the box, because I think that's what happened to this one, unfortunately. And the book is The Garden by Nick Newman. And it just has this big, I don't know if I can show it even, but like it just has like right here, it just goes all the way down the front cover. And so I wasn't very happy about that. But then I contacted Blackwell's and I showed them pictures and I just said, could I get a new one, please? And they said, of course. And so there is a new copy of this book on the way to me right now. Anyways, this is the book that I'm going to show you because I am not waiting for another book to arrive. This is a horror story and a meditation on love. It already feels like a classic. Glitters with menace and mystery. That sounds perfect for me. I think that Kim at Kim Reads and Reviews also mentioned this in a video, but I had seen this being compared to Piranesi, and that intrigued me a lot. So that's what made me pick this up. It says on the front cover, shades of Shirley Jackson and Susanna Clarke. So yeah, if you like those two authors, this might be something you want to try. I'll read you a little bit from the back, and it says, in a place and time unknown, two elderly sisters live in a large walled garden, secluded from the outside world. For as long as they can remember, Evelyn and Lily have only had each other. What came before the garden, they have forgotten. What lies beyond it, they do not know. Each day is spent in service to their home, dutifully following the instructions in the almanac left to them by their mother. So, when a nameless boy is found in the crumbling house at the center of their grounds, the reality of their existence is shattered. I think this sounds amazing and fantastic and like it was written for me, and I want to read it. And the cover is just so gorgeous. I love the faces in the roses, and yeah, I just love it so much. And then I have a box that I haven't opened yet, and I do know what this is, but I haven't seen it yet. So I just thought I would open it, and I'm gonna stop flapping it about. Where to open? Okay. Okay, so now I have cardboard dust all over me, but that's fine. Ooh, did you see it? Oh, it's so big. I didn't think it was going to be that big. I thought it was going to be like this size. It's big. Why is there a girl there? There's a girl in the back. Which, if you don't know what the book is about, that doesn't mean anything to you. Oh, it's so gorgeous. And the text is nice and big. Not as big as The Garden, but still. It's so pretty. This is by Catherine Chidgey, who wrote Pet, which I read in May and loved so much, and I want to read everything that she has ever written, and this is her new release, and I think that The Garden is also a new release, by the way, but anyways, never mind. Look at this one, look at this one. Morning, afternoon, night. The mothers are always watching. Original, dark, clever, and compelling. So this is set in England in 1979, and it says Vincent, Lawrence, and William are the last remaining residents of a secluded New Forest home, part of the government's Sycamore scheme. Every day, the triplets do their chores, play their games, and take their medicine under the watchful eyes of three mothers: Mother Morning, Mother Afternoon, and Mother Night. Their nightmares are recorded in the Book of Dreams, their lessons are taken from the Book of Knowledge, and their sins are reported in the Book of Guilt. I just love that so much. Like, if I only read that, the Book of Dreams, the Book of Knowledge, and the Book of Guilt, I want to read that. All the boys want is to get well and be sent to the big house in Margate, to a life of sun, sea, and fairground rides. But as the government looks to shut down the Sycamore homes, the triplets begin to question everything they have been told. Gradually surrendering its dark secrets, it's an urgent and profoundly unnerving exploration of belonging in a world where some lives are valued less than others. I can't wait to read this. I literally cannot wait to read this. I might finish Rabbit Hole and then head to this, but I also want to savor it a little bit, and this is the problem I get into with books that I'm very excited by. I want to read it right away, but I also want to enjoy the anticipation and just looking at it for a little bit. I'm not going to read it immediately, I don't think. I'm just going to wait a little tiny bit. Maybe. We'll see. There are a couple of other books that I want to read from Catherine Chidgey. The Wish Child, Remote Sympathy, and The Axeman's Carnival are the ones that are at the top of my list. But yeah, this one, I'm very excited. Ooh. It's divided into 3 parts. Part 1, the Book of Dreams. Part 2, the Book of Knowledge. Part 3, the Book of Guilt. And then it says a note on sources. And it seems like the first chapter is called Vincent. And so it seems like it's a multi-POV, maybe? Let's see. Nancy. We're getting a Nancy. Vincent and then Nancy. And Vincent and Nancy. Okay. I don't know who Nancy is, but that's very intriguing. Who's Nancy? Is this Nancy? Ooh, I want to read this. Okay. Okay. Okay, so at least these 2 are the same size, like The Garden and the Book of Guilt. They're gonna look so nice on my shelf. I'm so excited about these. I'm so excited about all of these, but this one I haven't seen until today, and so I'm very excited about that. This to me just looks like a big cake that I just want to eat. I'm so excited about these. There are definitely some classics like these that I'm very excited to get to. And I'm very happy to finally have my own copies of Bunny and I Who Have Never Known Men, because these 2 were such favorites of mine. These, I'm so excited about all of these. I feel like a kid in the candy store, and Christmas and birthday and everything all in one. And yeah, I'm just feeling very excited and happy and lucky to have all of these books and to be able to buy them. And yeah, it just lifted my spirits a lot. I'll probably try to not buy too many new books for a while, but at the same time, I don't really buy a lot of other things. So yeah, I don't feel very bad about buying all of these books, and especially not since I'm feeling so happy about them. I hope you enjoyed this haul. Maybe you got some new ideas for books that you're interested in. Maybe you just want to live vicariously through other people spending their money. I don't know what else to say. I'm just really happy to finally have been able to share these books with you. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.